Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Presents. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Share them, leave a like, comment below, let them know your thoughts on Presents, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, Presents, it is the latest from Steven Soderbergh, a very highly respected film director in this industry. I respect him as well. I think he does a lot of good stuff. And I also like how he likes to experiment with a lot of things too. This movie is no exception to that. And also, I am really loving this era that we're in where, granted, there's only two that I know of right now that we are doing this thing where, hey, with these horror movies, what is normally the antagonist of it, let's do the whole movie from that perspective. We had In a Violent Nature last year where, the whole movie was taking place from Jason's perspective. Camp killer comes out and we're following him the whole entire way through. This movie is not another slasher, but it's a haunted house flick, and the whole movie's from the perspective of the ghost. And if you've been following me long enough, I love these types of movies. Hell, when we used to do the Lemmy versus Limeys, which I still plan on bringing back at some point, the big franchise that we did was Paranormal Activity, because that's one of my favorite horror franchises of all time. I love the concept of, people are in a house and then, it starts to get terrorized by a ghost and, they can't really see what's going on, the unknown, the whole family dynamic being challenged of that. Paranormal Activity does it, Conjuring does it, Insidious, so on and so forth. I could keep going on and on and on, where, these types of movies, I don't even need to see the trailer for it. It goes, yeah, haunted house, demon maybe. You in? Yeah, I absolutely am, because again, these are just my types of movies. And with the whole concept of, hey, we're going to go from the perspective of the ghost and see how that goes. And from the people that I talked with, they're all like, oh, that does actually sound very interesting, which is why I bumped this movie up to today's review instead of Flight Risk. I'm going to see Flight Risk on Saturday, but I just couldn't wait because I was just that amped to see this, especially with the cast behind it, Lucy Liu in it, and just some other amazing talent in this film as well. And with this amazing concept, even though there's great talent behind it, behind the camera and in front of the camera, there is a lot of limitations that come within this amazing concept. Back to A Violent Nature, and I'm not going to keep comparing the two by any means, but the limitations of that is that, while the teens are over there with the movie that we would normally be watching and we're hearing those conversations, we're kind of just following our guy Johnny, who's the killer in A Violent Nature, just walking from place to place. In a lot of ways, that can be very, very boring. Well, what does the ghost usually do in the beginning of these haunted house movies? He's scoping out, he or she is scoping out the joint, and he's trying to get to know how the people interact with each other. What's the family dynamic? Who is this person? Who is that person? And it's just watching them, right? And just eyeing in on the conversation, and it's just kind of like a fly on the wall scenario. And within the beginning of the movie, it does feel like, and I hate this criticism all the time when people say this, because what else is a movie? I feel like I just watched a collection of scenes. Here I am using it because every movie is just a collection of scenes coming together. But the way that I'm using it is that there'll be a conversation that happens, and granted, every conversation within this movie is very feasible to the movie. It has a narrative behind it. There is a purpose behind it. Some things are executed better within the others, but hey, it is what it is. Is that they have the conversation, and then the movie just cuts to black. And then we cut back to another point of the house where the ghost, is scoping out for the most part. And within that, it does feel a little choppy within the cases, where it's almost like watching YouTube and then the video ends and then the next part happens after that, after a quick little load, and you have that little brief commercial break between YouTube videos. Or if you play YouTube Premium, it's just a loading screen. That's really what it felt like for the most part in the beginning. Again, there's no real haunts happening because, one, you are the haunt, right? Again, I'm not going to keep harping on it, but In a Violent Nature, where the horror is that once Johnny got his hands on them and he does the kills, then that's where the horror comes in, because of the blood and the gore, right? With the ghost flick, when you are the ghost and you are causing the haunts, It is, kind of cool when, the haunt happen. You're seeing the haunt happening because it is you doing it, and then you see the person react to it and like being really shocked by it. That's a really cool part of it. If we would have done a little bit more of that, I think I would have been much more into it. But by the time it's starting, the movie's about to start wrapping up because this is an hour and 25 minutes, which I do respect and I do like quite a bit because, it's not trying to overstay its welcome. And, there's only so much you can do within a haunted house flick. But as this movie's building up, and again, you're just watching from scene to scene of this dialogue that is very engaging. Again, Steven Soderbergh is a fantastic film director, so he knows how to make everything engaging and where to place the camera, where the ghost is watching, so on and so forth. It does just kind of abruptly end. It doesn't, I do feel us building to something, but it doesn't really feel like a climax. It doesn't really feel like a third act. It doesn't really feel like a finale. Again, you're kind of just in this hangout movie, if you will, and then it's just like, well, we're out of time, and boom, smashed credits. Pretty much is really how the movie goes for the most part. And the other frustrating part within this movie, besides the choppiness of it a little bit, and again, no real build to anything big throughout the film, is that with our family, our main four, there's a mom, played by Lucy Liu, a dad, can't remember his name, and I can't remember the young actors as well, even though I have definitely seen them in other projects before. There's a son and a daughter in there, and this is the family of four. And in every haunted house flick, there's always at least one person who doesn't believe no matter what. And yeah, you are supposed to be very frustrated by it because we have the power of hindsight of knowing, yeah, no, your house is really haunted. You should probably listen to your other peeps around you. It kind of runs into the category of the first Paranormal Activity, where we only had two characters, and you do have to have that one character, so therefore half of your cast is unlikable. With this, the mom and the son are those two, and therefore, again, half of your cast pretty much is very, very unlikable. And the son more to a degree because, again, I am never going to be the one to, criticize Steven Soderbergh, but I will give I'm obviously criticizing him right now, but, I'm never going to be one to be like, oh, he did a bad job here. Or, this actor didn't do a good job here. I'm not one to blame actors. I'm not one to blame directors who have, criteria that they have done much better before. And because, from the actor side, they can make a choice, and then it's up to the director to be like, that was an interesting choice. Why did you do that? Okay, I get that. Let's try it this way next time, right? And then when it gets to the editing room, if he gives the direction to do something and it happens, it's up to the director within the editing room with the cinematographer and the editor to make it clear communication throughout the audience that, hey, this is why this character got to this point within the movie. And in this flick, it is talked about how the son has anger issues. And it kind of happens within one conversation, and we never see it. We're just told that this son has anger issues. And within the following scene, feels completely unprovoked. He does have the anger come on and goes like up to 100, and it just really, it really is kind of jarring with how frustrated and angry that this son character gets. And it's just like, where did that come from? I know we had one conversation where someone else said this, but I personally haven't seen this. I haven't seen this being built up to see him get to this point. And then as soon as he's there, he's like that for the rest of the movie. It's just like, I don't know where this turn came from. I don't know why he's doing this. I don't know why he's doing that. And then the mom, because our main character is besides the ghost, really, because it's really cool how with the camera, how he's really able to make the ghost a character, but the ghost has an attachment to the younger daughter. And, we're really following her the most part. We really see a lot of this movie through her eyes besides our own. And within this mom character very much prefers the son. And, every parent says, I don't have a favorite. You do. Every home that has multiple kids in it, we all know the one. The one where we're like, okay, and we all respect it too, because like, okay, well, if any of us are gonna make it and make it really big to really take care of the parents, or, you know, hopefully us too, if, you know, depending on how much money they make and how much they make it, it's going to be that child. So therefore, the parents knight that one, not officially, like, you know, with the whole family together as the favorite child. The son is that. The son is that child. We're like, okay, well, we know he's got something special, so we're going to really throw our eggs in a basket to really maneuver our lives around him, because, you know, if he makes it to the next level, he's going to be able to take care of us, and it's going to be good. I get it. But, you know, the mom really favors the son in a lot of ways, that the dad has to bring it up too. And the daughter and dad dynamic is really good too. And the dad, even with the son, has a really good dynamic. The dad, to me, was probably my favorite character out of the whole entire cast. I think it was performed very, very naturally. I really wish I got the actor's name for it. I think he did a very, very good job with it. And again, just with how his scenes are, like, you know, it would just seem like just a well-meaning dad with everything. He has some of the funniest moments in this movie too. Like when, you know, they realize, oh, something is happening, but yet still some people don't believe that something was happening in the house. And they're outside and the mom gets a cigarette because, like, it was a very, very stressful situation. It's like, oh, come on, why are you smoking now? And she's like, did you not see what happened? And then, you know, a big family disagreement starts happening. They start arguing. He goes, I'm not going to keep living like this. Takes the cigarette out of the mom's hand. It's so funny. It is so funny. So yeah, when it comes to the daughter and the dad, very, very relatable. You're very attached to them. You get them, and you really want to follow them all the way through. While the son and the mom are just really, they're really disconnected from you, which I could kind of see as by design to a degree, because again, they're the ones who don't believe, and you are the ghost. So it's just like, what else do I have to do to prove to you that I am really here, and how much more frustrating you get? So at the end of the day, I did feel like I was the ghost for the most part. And when you do actually watch the movie, because at the end of the day, can I fully support you heading to the theater to go see this movie? I would say yes if you were planning on it, but if you were going to ask me, what do you recommend? I don't think this is necessarily a theater movie. I think this is best for at home. However, I do think the only way that you will fully pay attention and engage within this is to watch it in the theater, so that you can understand the themes. You can pay attention to the dialogue and the conversations of this theme of grief, of trauma, all these things that the movie does build to in the third act, but you just don't feel like you're building to a third act within the movie. It's a good time. It's very well made. It's very well acted. Again, I just have some problems with the son character, but again, that's on both the director and the actor. I don't think it's one or the other. And also within the editing too, again, the choppy editing, it doesn't feel like completely cohesive all the way through. I wouldn't mind seeing another movie like this in the near future. And again, I like this new gimmick that we're doing. Okay, so now we've seen the perspective of the slasher. Now we've seen the perspective of the ghost. Hell, let's do the perspective of the alien. Hell, let's do the perspective of the Titan. Let's do a Godzilla movie all from the perspective of Godzilla. And, you know, let's really understand why he wants to wreak havoc the way that he does. Let's just bring it on. Let's go back to the ghost, where, you know, it's just evil all the way through, and there's ill intentions all the way, and have it more stitched together, and just to make it feel a little bit more tighter, as opposed to choppy, where it's just really feels like you're like trying to catch your breath all the way through. But again, I had a good time with it. If you plan on going to the theater to go see it, absolutely go enjoy yourself. But if you're going to ask me which one to go to, I would say, you know, maybe wait for streaming. But when you watch it, watch the movie. Don't, you know, because again, I can see it. There's a lot of conversations that are happening. And again, it's just people kind of hanging out. And I can see people just laying back and then pulling up the phone and start, you know, going on TikTok or Twitter or whatever, just, you know, while it's like background noise for the most part. If I had to rank it on a lemon scale, where it goes sour lemon, expired store-bought lemonade, where there's a lot of bad but hey, there is good. Store-bought lemonade, there's a lot of good but hey, there's bad. Lemonade in the middle. Freshly squeezed lemonade, where there's a lot of good with very, very minor nitpicks, and a strawberry lemonade at the very top, because that's the best kind of lemonade. I would say overall presence is a lemonade. Again, there are problems within it. It feels a little bit choppy. One character turn comes from out of nowhere. Half of the cast is unlikable, but again, I do think that is a little bit by design. When it does get to the end, I would honestly wonder how it's going to be on a rewatch of this, because they do sprinkle in throughout on how this movie is, where this climax is going. They do leave teases throughout, because even though it does kind of come from out of nowhere from my point of view, in all honesty, it is still, I would imagine how this would be on a rewatch, to pick up on every single thing, knowing where this movie's going to the end, to see if you can catch the third act being built up. But yeah, Lemonade for me, I had a good time at it. If you plan on going to the theater, go to see it. Then yeah, you're gonna have a good time with it. But if not, if you're on the fence with it, then yeah, maybe wait until streaming for it. But again, watch the movie when it does hit the streaming. Don't just have it on as for background noise, because when you do pay attention to it, it does have some good themes and it does have a good message to portray when it comes to grief and trauma. But let me know what y'all think about it down in the comment section. If you made it this far within the review, please leave a like. I do greatly appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button, as I am trying to go into a YouTube career. If you're into wrestling, we do a bunch of those types of reviews. Flight Risk will be coming out on Saturday. The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man TV show starts on January 8th. We will be January 28th. We will be covering that Royal Rumble on next Saturday. Saturday's main event is coming up Saturday. So a lot of things are heading over to you on this channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to see all that heading here. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.